everybody, and welcome to another episode of Lost with Friends. As always, I'm your host, Paul Casey, and joining me today, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Megan.
Today, we will be discussing the episode Tabula Rasa. Am I pronouncing it right? I'm very white when I say things like that.
Um, Wikipedia says it's Latin, so I have no idea.
Okay, so if I'm being too white, I know there are people out there who will tell me, and I will correct it once these finally go up. So, first and foremost, let's talk with you for a little bit just before we get into the actual discussion of the episode. You and I met in Hawaii back in Lost 2014. Can you tell us just a little bit about your experience at that event and meeting fans and seeing locations and things like that?
Okay. I went with Mike, and we got there a
That would
week or
be, I'm sorry, really quick, that would be
oh,
the Mike that we spoke to in the previous episode, Mike Gilman, internationally renowned photographer.
yes, way more talented than I will ever be. But
To
I
be fair, folks, she's very talented in her own right. Don't let her talk you out of it. She is extremely talented herself.
well, thank you. I usually play second shooter for him and trip planner, so I get to do all the fun spreadsheets and calculations of how long it takes to get from point A all the way to point Z in so long. And so I got to drive the car and take pictures.
Everybody
And
needs that facilitator,
oh
though.
yeah, no, it's actually I really enjoy doing that part. I don't like being the first shooter. If that I don't know if that's common language for that. So Mike is the first shooter and I'm the second shooter. And that basically means I get to do all the logistical stuff and take pictures from different angles and all of that. So it's much easier for me because I get to be like out there mentally while he has to focus and do all the real hard work. So I get to, you know, plan stuff, and I actually that's my favorite part. So it's cool. And so we got there a week and some change earlier than the actual Lost 2014 event, and we went to
I didn't
over.
even realize that.
Oh yeah, we were there for a long time. We went to dozens and dozens and dozens of locations that you can find all over his website. So I don't know if he talked about that last episode or not.
I gave him a chance to plug it at the end.
Yes. So um, basically, I can't remember the exact number, but it was a lot of different places, and we drove several hundred miles all over Oahu, just to get the shot, man. So
Okay.
it was fun. And the best part was actually the 2014 event because we got to meet everybody, and it was this grand coming together of people that were just as obsessed with Lost as we were. And I had actually, as with most TV series and movies, I kind of grew up a little sheltered when it came to that. So Mike introduced me to Lost in 2000. Actually, it was 2014.
Oh, so you
So
got into it like right before the event.
yeah,
Okay. Because I
yeah.
know when he and I talked, he had said he got into it not long before season 5, which
Mhm.
actually he and I have that in common. I got into it right about that same time as well. I didn't realize that you had gotten into it much later.
Oh yeah. It's like that with a lot of things. Like I hadn't seen going off topic. I hadn't seen Top Gun or Dirty Dancing or anything like that until Mike came along. So that was Lost was one of those many awesome things that he introduced me to. So yay. Uh, so it was an interesting. I like going into series like that with that he knows what's coming and I don't, and we get to talk about it, like our different reactions to it. It's cool. So
Nice. So you had a fun time there. Obviously, I would because you're talking. You have a
no,
big
I,
smile on your face. you have a big smile on your face as you're talking about it. But yeah, I didn't realize that you guys had gotten there that early, like earlier than everybody else, like that.
yeah, we were there, you know, and it was so funny. The jet lag really got us. We we were in a hotel near a shopping mall. I can't
Which I
remember
think
what.
is every hotel there.
Yeah. Basically, there was like a Gucci store right across the street, and our hotel was interesting. But
That's a story. Obviously, that's a story for another time.
no, the mattress was actually two twin beds pushed together, and one was like normal and one kind of sloped, and I got the slopey mattress, and every night I almost fell off the bed. Um, they were remodeling.
Okay, in air quotes.
I don't know if they will still be remodeling by the time we go back, but it was such a good trip that it didn't matter. And they
I
had washing machines because we didn't expect the heat wave.
right.
So that was crucial. And it was right next to a shopping mall. So since we both have horrible food palates, like I'm really picky and he's really picky, but in really different ways. We would just go to like the mall and go to Sbarro and get pizza or spaghetti and then pass out at like
Nice.
7 o'clock at night for pretty much the whole week until the actual event. And then we were finally good enough to hang out with everybody, which was awesome. Yeah.
Right. But now we're going to get into the episode Tabula Rasa. It's the first, I guess, official episode because the pilot, for most series, pilots don't count because you film that and then you start filming the series proper, a few months later. J.J. Abrams did not direct this one. Jack Bender, who anybody who knows anything about the backstage of the show knows that he did pretty much all of the important episodes. Okay, so if you don't mind, Megan, the way that we did this previously, and if you have anything, definitely feel free to jump in. This show is about not just me; it's about the person that I'm talking to and their experiences and everything else. But the way that we did it the last time was I went through, I watched the episode, and I took a few notes. So please feel free to jump in at any moment.
Okay.
First thing I have is the first use of previously on Lost.
Ooh.
Which I know for years the fandom was like, oh, who recorded that? Because it sounds like it could be Carlton Cuse. But it actually turned out, they didn't reveal it until afterwards, that it was Lloyd Braun, the guy who was the head of ABC, commissioned the pilot for Lost, then got fired for doing so because it was his idea. He's like, oh, let's do a show kind of like this. And he hired JJ and then Damon Lindelof to write it, and then got fired because at the time it was the most expensive pilot in television history, and they were like, this is never going to work. I don't understand this. So he got fired. So then they brought him in to do that previously on Lost thing because, just like as a nice little thank you.
That's way cool. I didn't know that.
Really?
No.
See, we're educational here too.
Thank you. I feel educated. No, I am I'm a huge fan, but I don't know half the intricacies as people like Mike or Patty or Kelly or anybody. Like
I'm a huge nerd like that as well.
Or you.
So,
yeah.
Now, see, the funny thing is, like, I don't know, because I know Mike, as we said, Mike said that he got into it a little later. Unlike a lot of like Patty and things like that, I didn't really get into talking with the fandom until the show was over. I know a lot of them, they met each other on the message boards and things like that. I didn't really get into talking with anybody until it was over because pretty much anybody in my area, they either were like, oh yeah, I like the show, but they didn't really get it, or they just hated the show. 100% hated it. Like they, as I mentioned with talking with Mike, they came up and they were like, oh, there's a polar bear on a deserted island. By the way, really quick side note, in the episode with Mike, I said desert island. Absolutely incorrect. Didn't realize until afterwards. It's a supposed deserted island. So I'd like to make that known now. I am not an idiot in that sense. But so yeah, it's supposed to be deserted island.
I'm going to show my immaturity here and think of desert islands made of ice cream.
No, not dessert. Desert,
No,
I said.
Yeah, okay. Um, sorry, I just
No,
brought it
believe me,
down.
if it was an ice cream island, I'd start flying a lot more, you know?
I know. I would want to crash there. Please. I want to go back. Um, see what I did. Um,
uh,
no, and with the last 2014 event, it was really, and a lot of people I talked to agreed that it's one of those things where, with 2017, people are bringing more of their families and their friends because they saw how awesome it was and how nice it was to connect with people that have that love of Lost. And
yes.
yeah, it's a sentiment I heard from everybody. So I have a complete, respect for that and see many more people doing the 2017 event.
Um, did you guys
Anyway,
sign up yet?
yes, we are registered.
I am not. As of this
Paul,
recording, I am not
Paul,
registered.
oh my gosh,
I
you
know.
have a podcast about Lost. Let's
I
get
know.
on
Well,
it.
hopefully by the time the episode goes up, I will be registered. But as of the recording of this episode, I am not registered.
You need to
So
add an
feel free to
objective.
shame me in the comments, folks.
I am. I'm right there.
Okay, so continuing on with my notes. Um, so I have here now Jack is confused by Kate because he in the first episode he was kind of intrigued by her, right? And then he found out that she's dangerous because the marshal keeps saying, she's dangerous, whatever. So now he's like not sure what to do about it. Which of course the marshal kind of brings up later in the episode where he's like, "Oh, no matter how you feel, or no matter how she makes you feel, don't trust her." So I just think it's odd that quickly Jack got confused. I think it's even more odd. Maybe it's just me that he immediately trusted her so well, or so like immediately. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but
I don't know. I mean, for Jack's past, I thought it was kind of weird to have that inherent trust in someone so quickly.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, I think I've said this the previous episode. I'll say it probably every episode for a while now. Spoilers, I think, are okay because the show's been off the air for so long and it premiered so long ago. I don't necessarily want like, well, here's what the smoke monster is, or any. I don't want any. I don't think any major spoilers like that, or like I alluded to it. Pretty much anybody listening to this knows, but hopefully we could get some non huge losties like us in on these conversations. But like I alluded to the end of the third season twist and the end of the fifth season twist and things like that. So I don't want to give out major spoilers, but I think, minor spoilers are okay. Just
Okay.
so we know for the conversation. Okay, this is something I pointed out previously. Continuity error in the pilot episode, which continues into this one. Jack, Kate, and Charlie say that they're not going to tell anyone that the pilot or anyone else survived when they found the cockpit. They said that they were going to say that they were all dead because they don't want anyone to freak out over the monster. However, when Kate, Saeed, Sawyer, and that little group are going to find the signal, they find the polar bear, and Boone, I believe it is, asks, "Is that what killed the pilot?" And Charlie says, "No, that's a tiny version of what killed the pilot."
Oh, I didn't realize.
Continuity. Yeah, Mike said he didn't realize it either. So see, we are educational on this show.
Yeah,
Lost with
we just
Friends,
watched that the
everybody.
other night, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. Hmm.
So I have here in my notes, once again, they know the pilot initially survived. Jack's lie goes out the window. That just, I mean, I like the fact that they kept going with the fact that it's out the window, but the fact that it goes out the window at all, I'm not okay with that. You'll appreciate this one, having talked about photography and whatever. I have here Charlie and Saeed give us the lowdown on basic photography. Simple point and shoot. Okay, and so often these notes are really just like things that make me laugh or whatever.
What
Okay,
what
go
was
ahead.
that part? I forgot that part.
When they're sitting around the fire towards the beginning, when they're coming back, they decide to make camp for the night, and they at this point they know that the signal has been on the loop for 16 years, and Charlie says they still know where we are. They could take pictures of your license plate from space. And Saeed's like, oh, if only we were all wearing license plates. And he's like, oh, that's, nice thought. And he's like, it's simple photography, point and shoot. The camera has to be told where to point.
Right.
But I thought,
sorry about that brain lapse.
No, it's fine. I can't believe I can't believe I got that much of the dialogue correct just off
Yeah.
the top of my head.
I'm impressed. I was never a dialogue reciter.
Like I said, I'm a real nerd for that kind of stuff.
I just wanted to use this episode to expose you for what you are.
A nerd? Anybody who listens to anything knows that anybody who knows me even remotely knows that I'm a nerd.
So I wanted to mention that this episode brings forth something that is probably not the most popular opinion ever.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of Charlie.
Okay, why is that? Mike and I had talked, I didn't realize in the fandom that there was so much Kate hate. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that one day I can find out why that is or where that comes from. But you say you're not a fan of Charlie. Could you tell us a little about that?
He blames a lot of his shortcomings on everyone else, and it takes him an extremely long time to figure out it's his problem. And I guess that is just, human construct. That's what we do. It's not human nature to blame ourselves, but for some reason, I think it's like with the Kate hate. With Charlie, it just really grinds my gears. And I don't know. I loved him so much in Lord of the Rings. I think that was the problem, that I saw him as so flawed in Lost. And it hurt me. So maybe that's why.
Okay.
I need to separate my fandoms.
I definitely agree. He is an extremely selfish character in Lost. And like you said, he because he never takes responsibility for himself. So in that sense, I'm not a fan. But to me, and this is just my opinion, I think it humanizes him a little more because, like you said, that is part of the human condition is we never want to actually take responsibility for ourselves. There is a lot, I do agree, especially in these early episodes, there is a lot to not like about him, but knowing what I know and even taking away the final bit of Charlie, again, not to give too many spoilers, but not even taking into account the final bit of Charlie, but even kind of his middle journey, I still think that you need this to get to that.
Yeah, it's a good lesson in character building, really. It shows his full spectrum of why he does certain things in later episodes that we will not mention.
Right.
So I get that, and that's why I come to like him later. But
right.
it took me longer than the other characters. But I have to also remind myself that everybody on this show, like the main plot point of the show, is the character flaws in people. It's these real people. These are real people on an island. Here is what happens when real people happen to be on an island together and can't get off.
Right. Now, okay, before I continue with my notes, did you said Mike got you into the show.
Yeah.
Did you like it right off the bat with the pilot episode, or did it take you maybe a few episodes? Yeah.
It was probably the first 30 seconds I was totally hooked, which is crazy, but
okay.
I mean, like it's so well, I don't know if it was digital or film that they used, but it's filmed very well, and just I don't know. It just sucks you in immediately. Like, what happened? Oh my gosh, why is he here? What's this dog doing here?
Right.
Like, it's just like a total mind-blowing pilot. How could they not succeed?
I'm right there with you. Well, I know a lot of people that I've seen on the fandom, they say that it took them maybe until the next episode, Walkabout, not this episode, but the following episode, that ending, that it took them till that point where they were like, oh, this is where I got hooked, No,
I was instantly hooked. And actually, I want to make an addendum. I think it was 2013, not 14, because it was June, and I remember spending pretty much all of June solidly watching without stopping. It was insane.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember being in my kitchen and
so for those of you writing Meghan's biography,
it
was 2013, not 2014.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
little
just wanted,
asterisks there.
I didn't want to be a turd about timing. No, I remember standing in my kitchen baking cookies and also watching on my tablet at the same time because I
Okay.
didn't want to miss anything.
Baking
Well,
cookies in the summer?
baking, they were, I like molasses cookies
Yeah,
because
definitely from
I'm
the
your
South.
grandma. I'm your
Definitely
grandma.
from the
Sorry.
South.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
Southern. It happens.
which I don't. I think we talked about it, just you and I. But little interesting fact, as Megan said, she is in a couple with Mike, and they are from the same area. However, as many of you notice, and maybe I don't notice it, but he has a very obvious accent. Megan's only slips in every so often.
Only when I'm excited or mad.
Excited or mad? Okay. So let's see if we could get a reaction out of her at some point in this show, folks.
Let's talk some
Um
more about Charlie.
okay, so my next note is, from my understanding, there are procedures in place for if you lose communication that you don't fly off course. From what I understand about flying, which of course I looked into after having watched the show probably the second time, because as I mentioned on the previous episode, I did not start watching until right before the fifth season. I had always seen on entertainment websites that this show was always talked about as, like, one of the top shows of the year every year, for the first four. And I never really, I was like, oh, okay, people on a deserted island. It's okay, so it's a drama version of Gilligan's Island or whatever. I didn't really
Mm.
understand the concept. And then so I read into it a little. I didn't want to spoil myself too much, but then I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll give it a shot. And I binged the first. This was before binging was a thing. I'm a hipster, I guess. Um, I I binged the first four seasons about 3 or 4 times in the course of like a summer right before season 5 premiered. So one of those times I was reading information. That's how I became so nerdy. I was like, I need to know everything I can about the behind the scenes of this show. And one of the things, apparently, and please, someone in the comments tell me if I'm wrong. From what I understand, if you lose communication, because you're supposed to go on, every plane goes on the same flight path that every other commercial plane takes, whether it's from Australia to Los Angeles or Los Angeles to North Carolina or wherever, they all take the same flight path. So, from what I understand, if you lose communications, you're supposed to switch to channel 000 or something like that. And then that's kind of like a distress thing. So, you're never supposed to fly off course. So, I'm not quite sure. I never understood why either the writers didn't do their research into this concept, or it was probably just for dramatic effect or anything like that. But I always thought that was kind of interesting, if that's true. Again, I'm not 100%, and I might have just gone off on a huge thing about something that's not even right. But I don't know. I just always thought that was kind of weird.
I know they have procedure for that, but I'm not sure. I might spoiler, so I'm not going to say. I don't know if that was possible.
If what was possible?
Communication. Like, would that be possible once they got into the zone where there was just the one radio signal?
Right. I understand what you're saying. Yes. Once they pretty much
Yeah,
got into the sphere of the what,
thing.
spoiler. Yes. Okay. I know what you're saying. And any hardcore fans also know.
Yeah.
Um, okay. And for those of you who don't know, obviously stay tuned to this show because one day we will talk about it.
We're gonna talk all about it. And it's gonna be awesome.
You heard it here first. Um, so the next thing, next note I have, Sawyer with the casual racism of calling Saeed Abdul, which just showed up for him like all the time.
Yeah, I think that was part of his. Oh, hey guys, he's Southern. Remember, he's Southern.
Yes.
I think that
Well,
was part of that.
we actually, I mentioned something about that in the previous episode with Mike, where I talked how at one point you can hear him slip out of his Southern accent because they, from what I understand, I won't go too much into the story. Megan, you'll have to go back and listen to the episode. But from what I understand, he didn't realize they cast him because of his kind of angry Southern thing, and so he was like, "Oh well, I'm going to do a kind of regional free dialect." And J.J. Abrams supposedly called him off camera at one point. Was like, "What are you doing? We hired you because you're the angry Southern man, you know."
Yeah, I've heard that story, and he was born in California but grew up in Georgia. And,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's where he gets that accent. Georgians
Right.
have better accents than upper Southerners. Like my uncle has the best Southern accent. He's from like the Georgia, South Carolina area, and he just sounds like peach tea. It's amazing.
Really?
Yeah, so I can see why they hired him for that. If he lived in Georgia, like, yeah, of course, he sounds like peach tea. They want that. But I think a lot in Hollywood, Southerners are portrayed as that stereotypical, I'm going to slip in some racist comments, and
Yes.
I'm Southern, so that is why I'm doing this. And oh, this is okay in the South. It's not.
Right.
So I wish they would get that right.
Well, I mean, even I'm a big Grey's Anatomy fan, and on the spin-off show Private Practice, they have the character of Charlotte, who she's supposed to be I believe she's from Georgia. She's supposed to be a nice, proper Southern girl, and then until she becomes an adult, where she's like, I'm gonna drink with the men, and you know what I mean. But she still can do that proper Southern lady thing, and she in their family, her father is Big Daddy, because apparently that definitely indicates Southern is a man named Big Daddy.
I see him in his Colonel Sanders outfit.
Exactly, right? Like that's what you immediately think.
Sitting on a porch, being
In a wooden rocking chair.
Yeah, sweating profusely. Yeah.
And he has like a little
Creates
thing
that image. Yeah.
Yes. So next is Sawyer saying Freckles, which of course becomes his lovable name for, as Megan swoons over there. Apparently she loves the Freckles nickname. Yes.
It works. Yeah. I mean, it's Sawyer. I'm gonna be a typical female fan. That's all.
Okay. It's funny because I actually said about Mike with his Southern accent that he was going to make people swoon when he was on my show, because even I get caught up in that accent sometimes.
Yes. No, and Kelly, the organizer of Lost 2014, and I have had extended conversations about Sawyer. I feel like among a lot of the females, and obviously this does not mean everybody, but a large percentage of the females are either like Team Jack or Team Sawyer or Team Boone, or there are teams.
Right. As with any fandom,
it's
because for some reason everybody needs to be in a coupling.
Well, yeah. So I guess I would be Team Sawyer. So sorry, guys. And I don't know. I was always confused at how, and this is sort of off subject, but Sawyer related. How did he whip that gun out at the polar bear so quickly? If he had like his baggage, like I'm just wondering how he could, because I have trouble picking up coffee cups and like walking straight. How could he just whip out a pistol at a polar bear and be like, bam, yo? Not like that, but
I'm not sure what you're asking.
In this episode, this is the polar bear episode, right?
That was, yeah, well, in the end of towards the end of the previous one, yeah, he shot the polar bear.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering about his reflexes. I'm sorry I went off episode.
No, it's fine. I'm not quite sure, but you just don't understand how he got what his quick reflexes?
Yeah, I can't relate to that personally. Maybe other people can, but like I have.
Doesn't that kind of make him? Doesn't that kind of, see, to me that makes him more intriguing, because like I'm like, oh, I want to be like that.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't be that. I wish I was even a fraction of that cool, you know?
I wish I were that cool. Yeah, and that goes with the like being able to hold my coffee cup. I have to use two hands, whereas he can like just like everybody else is freaking out and flipping their ish, and he's just like, "What, polar bear?"
Yeah. Well, he's not from South Central Los Angeles.
He might
Like,
be. He was born in California, according to Wikipedia.
okay.
Educational episode.
See, getting it all over the place.
I know. I
Um,
know. So that was one of the confusing points for me. But that was last episode. Let's talk about this episode.
my next note is hope versus false hope. When Saeed says that we shouldn't, or that not we, because there we go. I'm doing dialogue instead of talking about it. He says that they shouldn't tell people, the rest of the survivors, that that they didn't get the communication. Whereas, he tells them like, oh, we didn't get anything versus we got the communication that says they're all dead, And so he says about how hope is a very dangerous thing to lose. That becomes a recurring motif, I believe they call it, in this show, is the hope versus false hope thing. We find out later with Jack and his father, that's talked about a lot. And with various characters throughout the entire series, the hope versus false hope thing. I just thought it was interesting that was kind of like, that might even be the first example. Maybe the pilot, maybe, but I think that's pretty much the first example in this show of that coming up.
Yeah, you definitely, there's a big there's a lot of evidence there psychologically for that. Like, you see in hospitals, people, if you give them just like a little percentage of hope that they'll survive whatever disease they have, they usually like work a little harder to pull through it. And sometimes they do. Whereas if you go in and say, hey, you're gonna die, like people don't usually respond that well to that. They kind of tunnel vision and circle the drain until finally they give up hope. So hope is such a dangerous thing.
Yes.
Especially when you deal with it recklessly. And personally, if I were stuck on a deserted island, see what I did there. If I were stuck on a deserted island and I had gotten the news that, hey, we have radio signal, but guess what? It's blocked by this woman from 16 years ago saying, help, help, help. I would probably go a little mad into the woods and start attacking polar bears or boars, or maybe just drift off and not come back. Because hope is dangerous.
Yeah.
So then if you say, oh, we couldn't get the radio signal, but we're going to keep trying, like that's better.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree.
But there's also the truth aspect to it. Like, you want to maintain trust in these people you are, assuming responsibility for, like our crew is, which is also a recurring theme. They seem to be, and it's even pointed out later by, secondary characters, like, what is with these people? Why are they the all-star group here?
Yeah, the A team. Yeah.
The A team. So
without the cool van until later.
Yes. Oh my God. So many spoilers. It's so hard to do the early episodes. So anyway, like, if you deal in truth with that, say, yes, we have this signal, but we're going to find another tactic. We're going to try to override this 16-year-old message. Like, maybe that would have worked better. And I know Saeed had that, capability, or at least he could work on it. So not necessarily putting all of that responsibility on him, but it's better than just like lying to a giant group of people that will mutiny and, possibly shun you.
Right.
So,
well, that's the thing is so often all of those characters, they did start to, as you said, they started to be like, okay, well, because like Kate, of course, and I think it leads into the Kate hate, where she's just like, oh, well, we decided this, but I'm still going to tell somebody else something that we decided not to tell everybody else. When she says to Jack, I thought I should tell you, we did get a signal, and so on and so forth. But you're right, like it does start to be like, well, why can Saeed and Jack, why do they know things that we don't know? And I think that's really any society with its leaders, which, we don't necessarily want to get into that whole discussion.
Oh, so many references we could make.
But, that does tend to happen, I think, with really any society where there's leaders and followers.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily make it right or wrong.
No.
But I thought it was interesting.
It's always nice to have like, oh, these people are going off and they're going to find a solution, and eventually they come back with a solution, and you don't need to know all the dirty details of like how that sausage is made. Like,
yes.
So maybe that was like protecting people from more stressors, which I mean,
there's
crashed a plane.
There's definitely positive points. As horrible as it sounds, there is positive points to being a follower.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that you don't necessarily have to worry about. You
can sun yourself on the beach.
Yeah, there are a lot of times where it's definitely better when someone else takes care of things for you, and you don't have to worry about like, okay, somebody else is going to catch my water, or somebody's going to tell me it's my job to, build get the tarps to collect the water and things like that. But I don't necessarily think I could live that way. But then again, there are times where I'm looking at the stuff that they have to deal with, and I'm like, I would not want to deal with that, Yeah,
well, it kind of goes into the A and B type personality theory as well. Like some people are more extroverted and more able to lead, more willing to lead, and some people are just cool with, sitting back and doing other things like finding water or, and that kind of, I don't know. I'm not saying that everybody's like that, but you see it a lot. And especially with like the popularity on social media with people saying, oh, I'm an introvert. And I like to snooze. I don't know. I think there are spectrums. I don't think it's just A and B or introvert and extrovert. So it's interesting to see that dynamic play out on the island.
Right.
A lot of like what you see with the human condition is people need to categorize. It's something that comforts people for some reason. So if they say, oh, I'm an introvert, then they can find other people that identify as introverts, and it creates this whole community around people that like to snooze. Well,
right.
Not snooze, but like be home and read a book, and they're completely satisfied with that. But honestly, like, it's a spectrum. So some days I'll want to go out and go shooting downtown with Mike, and we'll go and take pictures. Some nights I want to read a book and hang out on the couch and not do anything. It's a spectrum.
Yes.
Nobody is anything. Just stop, people. You're nothing.
Luckily, this won't be posted until 2017, so hopefully the triggered thing of the internet is gone, because if not, you probably just triggered everybody.
I told them they were nothing. Or what? You're nothing.
We're getting deep here on Lost with Friends.
And educational. Oh my God.
Nothing's ever going to top this episode. Normally, they say sequels aren't as good, but...
Oh, the third episode. Like,
yes.
Whoever comes next is going to own it hard.
We have a lot to live up to.
Back to the Future, hello. So,
so that means we have to go Western with the next one, right?
Oh my God. I'm sorry, everyone.
Don't apologize. Don't backpedal.
As before, I was going to add, I think a lot of the Kate hate stems from the fact that she is, in fact, a strong-ass woman, okay? So that's just my opinion, and people can deal with that.
Meg's throwing it down.
I'm throwing everything out. People are nothing. I love Kate. I hate Charlie. What about that?
Oh, that you are going to get so much backlash. If you were still on social media, you would get so much backlash.
It's fine. It's fine, because people, this is your call to action, people. I want you to come on and help Paul with another episode so you can tell him how much you hate me, and that's fine.
You're so sweet.
I want to hear it. It fuels my fire.
As she sips tea.
Bring it. Next question. Go.
Okay. This is something I briefly brought up in my discussion with Mike. Hurley questions if the noise is a dinosaur. And to me, I said in the previous episode, I said that when Walt questions if the noise was Vincent knocking over the trees, it seems silly because they're like, oh, it wasn't Vincent. But then Hurley, who's an adult, questions if it was a dinosaur. And to me, that's just as silly or even more silly. I don't know.
Was this before or after the polar bear?
This was after. Well, the knocking down the trees was before the polar bear. Hurley questioning if that thing was a dinosaur is after the polar bear. But he doesn't know. I don't think they know that at that point about the polar bear.
Right.
I don't think they told them that part yet.
This might be a continuity issue. But maybe he did know about the polar bear. So the realm of possibility was opened up. And he was like, it could be dinosaur. Because they are on a tropical island, much like Jurassic Park. And there's a polar bear. So anything could happen. Stuff is crazy.
Fair enough. Well, from what I understand, that was something that the ABC executives had to say when they were like, that thing, it's not a dinosaur, right? And they were like, no. And they were like, do you know what it is? The writers, they were like, to ask the writers, do you know what it is? And they were like, yeah, we have an idea of what it is. Okay, as long as you know what it is and that it's not a dinosaur, you could keep going with this show. Like, from what I understand,
not a
that was
dinosaur we're on.
Yeah.
Funny.
It just ended up being spoiler.
And the spoiler is so much crazier. Anyway,
I know, right?
Dinosaurs are within the realm of possibility for me.
Jack never wants to be a leader, which he says all the time. However, as I pointed out in the previous episode, right off the bat, he immediately goes, here, help me get this guy out from under this piece of plane. Hey, pregnant girl, how long have you been pregnant? Why are you flying so late? You over there, Vampire Diaries guy. You are... I love the Vampire Diaries. I'll state it right here. I love that show. I don't remember where I was, though. Oh, okay, that's where I was. He was talking to Smolderhalder, and he's like, oh, you're doing CPR wrong. And he immediately jumps into the I'm going to take charge thing. But how many times over the course of this series does he constantly say, I don't want to be a leader. I'm not in charge. Who put me in charge?
You did.
He put himself in charge.
Yeah, like, oh, that guy pulled me from under the plane. Oh, he helped me not have my baby. Oh, he, helped me when I fainted from the sight of blood. Maybe we should put this guy in charge because he has his ish together.
Yes. Except we find out he does not.
It's his own fault.
Okay, so Shepard chooses to hide Kate's mugshot. So even though he is confused, he clearly still has a soft spot for her.
I'm wondering if that was just general, like, keeping people from either shunning her or throwing her into the ocean. Or getting whatever is in the woods after her, Like, I don't know if it was lovey feelings or if it was, oh, this could end really bad for her. And I don't know the whole story.
Okay.
Let me just give her the benefit of the doubt and let her explain this.
Okay. Fair enough. Honestly, I didn't, especially knowing what I know about the characters, I didn't think of it that way. But it definitely makes sense that it was not a lovey-dovey thing.
Yeah. Well, as a doctor, like, he showed this in the pilot. He can give orders well. He knows how to triage patients. Why would he not know how to triage a situation like that? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a physical harm situation. It's okay, does she look like she's going to harm somebody? She mostly just wants to keep to herself. She mostly just wants to go on expeditions and help people. So maybe I should give her the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
My next note is Boone thinks he's the savior. When they're in the jungle and they're all sleeping around the campfire, he decides that he's going to take the various pieces of the gun, and he's like, oh, someone needs to stand watch. And not the first time, and absolutely not the last time, that Boone thinks that he is going, as Shannon even says at one point, God's freaking gift to humanity. Boon.
Yeah. Personally, and I'm going to cross fandoms again, he needs a Hermione. Because Harry Potter did stuff like that, where he just like boldly went into situations that should have killed him. But Hermione like was the level-headed counter to that, where she kind of brought the knowledge and the street smarts to keep him from dying.
Locke sort of becomes that for him.
Mm-hmm.
As
I agree.
You know,
Locke is Hermione.
there's a sentence you never thought you'd hear, folks.
The hair is a little different, but you know, it's there. Somebody's going to write their thesis about this someday.
I heard on this really weird podcast once this concept. John Locke, not the philosopher who we should talk about in college, but the fictional character from Lost, you know, that show that like divided people so much. He is this other fictional character of Hermione Granger. A. Automatic A.
I'll buy that t-shirt.
I will wear that. I actually have a local band on my t-shirt right now. But if someone makes a shirt that says like John Locke is Hermione, I will absolutely wear it. But you have to, here's the thing. You send it to me, I will wear it. However, you also have to send a copy to Meghan as well. That's the deal, folks. My very next note, the quote, Kate should hold the gun. If only they knew. Because in the previous episode, it's one of my favorite lines, especially knowing what we know. She specifically says about she doesn't know how to use a gun. And Charlie's like, I think you just pull the trigger. And then she's like, no, I want to take it apart. And Saeed has to like walk her through the steps of taking it apart.
Best bluff ever.
Come on. Yeah.
Best bluff ever.
Okay, my next note. Since I completely forgot to discuss it with Mike, I'm going to discuss it with you, Meghan.
Yes, stolen.
Okay. We should discuss the original concept of Kate being the leader had Jack died. You've heard this idea before?
Not,
yes?
But I
No, okay. Okay, so apparently in the original thing, Kate was actually the description for her was what ended up being the character of Rose, like kind of a nice old lady who's there on the plane and her husband has gone to the bathroom. Then, of course, they made her much more badass and younger. And then there was the idea, I want to say it was Michael, who played Batman in 1989? Michael Keating? Is that right?
Yeah.
Keating, okay. Keaton, not Keating. That Michael Keaton was
I
supposed...
love that Batman. I'm sorry. That's like my favorite Batman.
I've never seen, and here I'm calling out people. I'm going to make them mad. I have never seen the Nolan trilogy of Batman movies. So take that, internet. Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney, even Adam West, I'll throw him in there. They are Batman to me. Jack Nicholson is the Joker. Take that, people. You heard it. And I'm not going to apologize. Okay. Trigger yourselves up. There it is.
I'm so excited because I feel the same way. Although I have seen the Nolan, it's okay.
Anyway, from what I understand, it was supposed to be that Michael Keaton was going to be the part of Jack. Mm-hmm. He was going to die in the first episode, and the pilot took his place, that he is the first thing killed by the monster. So then Kate was going to step in and be the leader of the group, because she's going to be like, well, you know, I was kind of his second on that one journey we went on together, so now I'm going to lead you and whatever. Now, I don't know if the backstory of Kate was still the same as it ended up being by that point. Also, because apparently Matthew Fox had some issues with being on the show, whenever they've discussed that, they were quick to say that was taken off the table before he signed on to the role. Because there was, from what I understand, not to get into too much rumors, but there was, I guess he had a lot of issue with, he didn't want to be on the show at a certain point, or he didn't. He said, I know, I've seen interviews with him where like halfway through the show, he's like, after this show, I'm never doing television again. He's like, I did Party of Five for 6 years. I'm doing this for 6 years. I'm done with television. So then people were like, oh, they must have got him for the pilot episode, then made him sign on for the rest. That's apparently not true. But what is true is that the original plan was that the character of Jack, which would have been different than the character we know now, would have died, and the character of Kate, which I'm assuming would have been different than the character we know now, would have stepped up and been the leader. What are your thoughts?
I wonder if the series would have been successful as it was, because everyone hates Kate. But like you said, the storyline behind Kate would have been different. So I don't know. I'm not saying the series hinged on Jack, because it was that beautiful mix of vignettes from everybody's different flashbacks that made it so good. Like, you wonder what happens to Sun or to Sawyer, or you want to know that backstory, which for everyone, even Kate. So I don't know. I can't forecast what it could have been. What do you think?
I don't know. I definitely think the character of Kate would have had to be different than what she ended up being. I'm not necessarily saying that the version that they originally had of her as the almost Rose character would have been much better as a leader, because I think that people would have... Because the character of Rose ended up kind of becoming everyone's mom or everyone's aunt. Mm-hmm. And no one, in that situation, no one really wants mom leading them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know if it would have been as successful. I think it could have worked, but maybe not to the same extent that it did. And I definitely think that the end game would have been a lot different.
I agree. I'm interested, like, because I know that during that time period, Matthew Fox was also doing movies, which had to be rough with filming schedules. But fun fact, I went to Marshall University, and he's in a movie called We Are Marshall. And it was all about like the plane crash in the 70s with Marshall University, the football team. You guys can look it up. I'm not going to do a ton of backstory in the middle of this podcast, but he was one of the main actors in that movie, and I got to meet him briefly, but
really,
yeah, it was just like, oh, hi. So that was cool, but I remember, because Matthew McConaughey was in that movie as well, everybody on campus was flooding trying to meet him, and not so much Matthew Fox, which was probably not nice for him. And so he kind of went around campus as kind of a grumpo.
What year was this?
2006.
Okay, so yeah, he would have been in the middle of filming Lost.
Yeah, I was in the middle of Lost. So I'm sure, like, conflicting schedules with movies probably.
Man, had you watched the show back then, you would have been at his side probably every minute.
I know,
right?
I was like, oh my God, you're Jack, hi. Well, my roommate at the time was watching it, and I would go in and I would be like, why is this polar bear in the middle of the... Okay, bye.
Oh, you're one of those people.
I'm going to go read a book now. And so, yeah, I feel kind of bad for that. But I came around. This episode is all me just pissing off everyone that is listening. So
that's okay.
Let me just lay
the
it
internet
out.
Needs a little dose of that.
Yeah, it's make everyone angry, because they're already angry.
Yeah. Okay, next note. First solo flashback, if we're not counting the pilot part 1 episode, because technically part 1 just has like that one Jack flashback, and then part 2 has Kate and your favorite Charlie. But so this one is the first official solo flashback, and it goes to Kate, not Jack, who, as you said, the show didn't focus on Jack, but I would definitely make the argument that in the grand scheme of the series, he's the main character. Obviously, it was an ensemble show. Everybody had their part to play, but I still think he was the main character. And I think it's interesting that the technical first full flashback thing didn't go to him.
That is interesting. Maybe that's leftover from the idea that they were going to kill him.
Maybe. I don't know.
Or maybe they were trying to make it more ensemble focused.
It's possible.
Because you didn't want him to be the logical lead.
Right.
Because that would make it too easy. And we all know that J.J. Abrams and all of the wonderful people that worked on the show are just not known in their other films and projects for being that obvious. So
Right.
maybe that was just them moving forward with that instead.
Perhaps. Okay, my next. The accent and the use of kilometers tells us we are not in America. In the first flashback scene, she wakes up.
Yeah.
She wakes up in the barn with a gun in
Yeah.
her face, and he has an accent. Not that uncommon in America, but the use of kilometers, that tells us right away we are not in America, because metric system differences.
Yeah.
Next note: Kate's first pseudonym, which, by the way, a variation of her real middle name, which I never remember. I was looking something up about the episode that made me.
Was it Annie?
Yes,
Okay.
because it's Catherine Ann.
Mm. I can hear her mom saying, Catherine Ann.
Yeah, the aunt from Sabrina. Yes.
I know. That's all I could think about when I see her. It's
Yes.
Like, wait, you know magic. You shouldn't be in this dynasty.
You know magic.
You know magic. It's fine. You're fine. Just conjure food.
I also put that at that point, should we have been questioning her real name? Because I said that in the previous episode to Mike, which was that when she stumbles upon Jack when he's about to try to sew himself up, she tells him what we find out later is her real name, which I think is a pretty big step for her. Maybe she just didn't think that they would be around long enough or whatever. But she does. She tells him her real name. But at this point, not knowing anything else about the show, should we be questioning her name? Because on the island she says Kate, but in Australia she says her name is Annie. Of course, both are true, technically speaking.
Yeah.
But
that's an extremely good point. And I wanted to say that maybe there was a sense of security knowing that dude was in like the shape he was in, the Marshall. That dude, exactly who I'm talking about when I say that dude.
Yes. At first I thought, well, when you said the shape he was in, I thought you meant the one-armed farmer man.
No, I'm back on the island again. I'm sorry.
Okay. See, it's just as confusing as actually watching the show.
No. So we're on the island.
We need that whooshing sound.
So we're on the island still, and like maybe the sense of security, like knowing what I know, the not all badness of every character on this show is not all bad.
I think that's part of the point, though, is like even characters, spoiler, even characters we meet later who do seem to be pure evil, we do kind of find out they do have sympathetic motivations.
And that's one of the big draws to the show for me, is that real human feeling there. Like, these are people. They're not like, oh, I'm evil, so I will do everything in my power to kill and hurt and maim for my own gain, blah, blah, blah.
Did you hear that, folks? Once again, Meghan triggers the internet by saying that all British people are evil.
No, that's a common trope. Oh, God, everyone hates me. Okay. No.
I'm going to get so many views on this.
Anyway, so with that, it's nice that everybody's real and you can see how things play out. Like, that's the draw for a lot of different novels that people read. Like, okay, maybe there's some magic, or maybe it's science fiction, or maybe it's historical fiction, but there are elements of, there is a person in the situation, here's how they react. And that, seeing that through, I don't know, maybe in a voyeuristic aspect, as people are attracted to that. So that's what Lost did really well. They gave that window into the human behavior of lost. This is what happens when you're on a desert island.
That's actually, I got it. That's actually one of the things that I do like about this show, and that's kind of one of the things that I look for in a lot of shows that I watch is, are they realistic? Are they supposed to be realistic? Because if they're not, you know what I mean? If it's supposed to be like a farce, I can buy into that. I just have to know up
Yeah.
front that that's what it is. And I think, but I do. I think that's one of the things that, like you said, this show did really well, where it was, this is a show about people. And that was one of the things as they got going with the show later on, was so many people were focused on the mythology.
Hmm.
To be fair, I was one of them. There was a lot of things that I wanted answered, but more people, rightly so, were focused on what's going to happen to these characters.
Right.
And I know in my own writing, I do have the issue with that. I'm so more focused on, I want to tell the stories about these cool mythological things that are happening. And, the people are just there to carry the story along versus they are the story.
Yeah. No, it's a pretty interesting aspect to look at, especially when you're creating a story, because you do want to have that balance of mythology versus character development, but it can go either way and completely ruin a story. Like
Right.
if you develop the characters too much, you're just like, okay, so why are we here?
Right.
And then if you have too much mythology or storytelling, like it's like, okay, but why do we care about this person?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Lost did that really well.
Well, okay, here's something that'll, perhaps get people mad. She eats bacon. But in a few episodes from now, she claims to be vegetarian. Yet another layer to the character that is Kate.
Hmm. I wonder if it is a situational. Maybe she was just really hungry.
I don't know. I think it might have
She
just been
was
a goof.
hungry. She was hungry.
I don't know what that was.
That was from Wizard of Oz. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
when they're throwing apples at her. Okay.
Okay. But I don't know. Maybe honestly, I think that might have just been a goof by the writers. But if not, brilliant piece of like the layers of Kate. Kind of like the whole name thing. We know she's known by this name. Now she has another name. What are we supposed to believe?
Maybe
Whatever.
her inner characters are starting to get mixed up, and she can't really remember who she is.
Yeah.
That's sad. That's real sad.
I have that issue. All the voices in my head all the time.
I know, all
never
the
remember.
talking never stops.
Why do you think I need to talk? Why do you think I need to have like talk shows so I could just, get all the voices out sometimes?
Fair enough.
Next, she claims she's Canadian, which is not weird seeing as she says sorry, because Evangeline Lilly, of course, is Canadian. And that's one of those things that I discussed with Mike, how, like with whenever I watch that one scene with Sawyer in the pilot, where he slips out of his southern accent, every time I notice it. Not just because it's there, but because I hear the difference in the accent. And Mike said, for someone like that, he doesn't necessarily notice. I said, I tend to notice almost every time a Canadian in a show or movie says sorry instead of sorry. And she claims in this episode, Kate claims that she's from Canada. So that's not necessarily so strange, except knowing what we know about her later, it is a little weird.
Yeah. I think it's going back to the accent thing, I think it's a lot easier when it's not your own accent.
To hear the differences?
Yeah, to hear, because I can't really notice the Sawyer differences either, but with Evangeline I can. So it just depends. Like I can always tell with you whenever your accent changes too. But I can never really.
What do I say?
I'm not telling. I can never really pinpoint my changes. So I think it has to do with maybe some receptor in your brain that just normalizes your accent for you.
Right.
I don't
Probably.
know. Maybe.
Okay.
Science is hard.
This is seriously, no other episode that I ever do is going to be this like in depth about science and history and, all that kind of stuff. We've peaked. We've peaked. Episode 2, and we've
No, no,
peaked.
no, no. There will be others.
What's that?
And there will be others, but I'm pretty sure if I join you for any of the later seasons, 5 or 6, I'm probably just gonna cry the whole episode.
Okay.
So be
Oh, so
ready.
that's one where we should like watch the episode while
Oh
we're talking
no!
about it.
I can't. I can't. There's too many things. See, I'm already getting there. I'm already there. Okay.
Okay. Next note. 8 months. Not the first use of the numbers, but so far in either the previous episode or this episode, haven't really talked about the use of the numbers. 16 years with
Yeah.
the French transmission on the loop.
Mm-hmm.
8 months. There's other little things like somebody
Yeah.
I saw something online where somebody pointed out the fact that when Jack wakes up in the jungle in the first episode, he has 4 scratches on his face. That's
Wow.
yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
Two here, 2 here cuz I had to go look. But yeah,
now
that's a
I'm
little
now I'm looking up the transmission numbers. So, okay. Flight 815.
of
That's one.
course, yes.
Yeah. The numbers appear a lot. And um whenever I'm anywhere, and Mike and I do this all the time. Like when we went to Lost 2014, we had like table 23 in the hot dog place, or our flight was 8:15, which was terrifying.
Oh
And
my goodness.
it arrived at like I think it was 8:15 or 8 something. It
Yeah,
was
I would have
terrifying.
switched.
We flew out of LAX and we were like, "Oh, we're obviously going to crash. I hope we are in our proper places." It was like we always look for that stuff. Every trip we take, every restaurant we go to, everything is lost.
I
Everything is lost.
I tend to notice a lot of stuff like that too. Like if I'm at a Chinese restaurant, get the fortune cookie, I'll be like, oh, how many of the numbers did I get or whatever.
All of them.
You know, my number. See, and people are like, oh, that's not anything. But my number, on my little name badge at Lost 2014, I believe was 48, which isn't a number, but it's 2 numbers together. And
Mm.
everybody's like, yeah, but that's not the same as if it was like 42, but still 2 numbers together. And I'm going to take that for whatever it means.
Yeah,
Um,
I always search it out though. Like I did just look up the transmission numbers from the distress signal to make sure they weren't lost numbers. Like, wait, did they put those in there? Did they? Did they?
well, now
Um,
I never watched the entire thing. I only watched the first, I think, 2 seasons. But if I'm
mhm.
not mistaken, several of the numbers from here recur in Alias, the other series that JJ was working on at the same time.
Ah,
They're not because there's a whole thing with some sort of equation in that show,
mhm.
which I don't think has any. Because I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, there's going to be a connection between this show and that show," which never really happened. And the fact that some of the numbers do reoccur, but I know because I never watched Alias when it was on. I only watched like I said the first 2 seasons just a few years ago, and I remember hearing some of the numbers, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if they just, and like I heard them a few times, like I think it was like 8, 15, and 16 a few times, and I remember going, oh, I wonder if they worked, because from what I understand, the writer's room, especially like the early drafts of some of the early episodes, they worked in the Alias writer's room, or like right in like one of the hallways or something. So I wonder if they kind of were just like, oh, well, since we're, it's the same writers, we can like make little references to ourselves with that. But yeah. Okay, my next note is Saeed takes charge when he gets back and he says, we need to organize electronics, food, water, things like that. So that's pretty much the first thing of him deciding, like, I can also be part of the A team, And Jack seems to have no issue with that.
It also alludes to, okay, we have this radio signal that's blocked by this other signal. We can't get transmission out. So that's like he's going into survivor mode at that point, I think.
Okay.
Right? Maybe.
I would say so.
Okay. So that's just like basic. Okay. We need no one's gonna get a message out. We're off course. We're gonna have to figure out how to survive. We can't just wait for someone to come get us.
Right.
Yeah. which I think he's the best person for that. Although, no, he mentioned he was in the Republican Guard to Hurley.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think he's probably the best person with the best training on that flight for that.
I could make that. I could see that argument, but practical experience, yes. In theory, I would still choose Locke, knowing what I know about him.
That's true.
That's just in theory. Not necessarily practical experience, as we'll find out in the next episode.
Wins.
Yes. Yes.
But.
Okay, next note. Kate goes behind someone's back once again to tell a secret, because she tells Jack, oh, we actually did find a signal, and she goes on and tells him that.
That might have been a trust building thing, because she knows that Jack is taking care of the marshal. So maybe she wanted to keep him in the loop to build that trust.
Perhaps. Okay. But now it's funny because you said that, which I didn't necessarily think about, the trust building thing with Jack. However, my very next note is that Jack, in turn, lies to her that the marshal didn't say anything when he woke up and he's like, she's dangerous, she's dangerous. And I literally wrote here, turnabout is fair play.
Yeah.
Okay, next note. The early episodes indicate that Hurley has a thing for Kate, which Sawyer actually alludes to at another point when he says that she's caught in the love triangle with the Doc and Captain Falafel.
Sorry. No, it's Sawyer. He's one of those people that just says whatever is in his head.
I said to Mike in the previous episode that except for Richard, probably my favorite character would have to be Sawyer on the entire show. So yeah. And that was Richard only until we got to the episode where he was actually explained, which kind of made me lose interest because it wasn't as good as I thought it should have been.
Yeah. With Sawyer in mind, I kind of like the later episodes when the name calling is turned around.
Okay.
It's much later.
Yes.
It's satisfying. Because he has a name for everybody. So.
Yes. My next note is when Jack is inside the plane. I will read it word for word because I just put little things that I know for myself for later. But here's what I wrote. Jack versus Sawyer. Foundation is laid here in plane.
Wow.
And that, and the next thing, Sawyer is in the wild. The juxtaposition, $10 word right there, juxtaposition.
Yeah.
The juxtaposition of these characters is one of my favorites on the show, and probably one of my favorites in television ever. But the elements and layers added throughout the series never fail to delight me. That's just me personally.
No, I get that.
Okay.
It's always an entertaining. They were excellent at telling that story.
Yeah, they were there's a lot of different fights and differences, and people will tend to focus more on, especially in the later things, Locke versus Jack, but I definitely think Sawyer versus Jack was the much better story. Maybe not for what the goal of the show was, but in terms of characters, I think that Sawyer versus Jack was the more interesting story to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Charlie made it nowhere with Shannon, nor Kate, because he tried hitting on both of them in the pilot episode. So he wants to be Claire's hero, because he tries to help her with her bags and things.
Yeah. Okay. That gives me time to mention that Charlie was a.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Are you about to talk about how it's so bad that the rock star womanizer was being a rock star womanizer?
I know. No, That's all. That's all. That's enough. I'm done. I'm done.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you spelled it out perfectly. How dare he be himself? Like if I am crashing on an island, that's the last thing I'm gonna think about. Like, oh, where's the food? Where's the water? Oh, here's this guy trying to be up in there. Okay, I'm gonna stay away from him. It's just there are other things to worry about than self-validation on this island.
No, you're right. He he's running low on his other drug, so he needs the other thing that he's addicted to. You
Yeah,
know?
that makes sense. That's more eloquently put than my rage.
Juxtaposition. Uh,
Indeed.
okay. Sun and Jin. I like how we're not 100% sure what their deal is. We're supposed to believe he's the typical American idea of an Asian man, I'm in charge, while she's subordinate. But as we saw in the pilot, she did defy him with the button. Then he
Oh my
throws
God,
in.
it's so powerful.
But then he throws in that because he's like, oh, you're filthy, you're disgusting, go clean yourself up. But then, all of a sudden, he throws in the, hey, I love you thing to her. Like, what is this guy's deal? Where is he coming from? At that point, we don't know. And that interests me.
Well, as it turns out, Claire isn't the only one with baggage that Charlie needs to move.
Oh!
Snap. I don't know. But yeah, there's so much there. There's so much to unpack. Like, I feel like they're the most layered of the people. Like, yeah, Jack has layers and Kate has layers, but Sun and Jin, their combo of layers is just so intense.
I don't disagree. I mean, personally, I wouldn't necessarily say the most. That's just me. But no, I think
Who is your most?
layers. I might have to go with. It's kind of an obvious answer, but I might have to go with Locke or Ben.
They have many layers, but I don't know. The Sun and Jin one is just like there's so many.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
It's good. We'll get into that. We'll get into
Okay.
that as the show progresses. But that button was such a powerful moment.
You're
Like,
absolutely right.
you see that what's that called? The generic portrayal of the Asian couple, and then
Yes.
she's just like, bam.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
button.
And she just kind of gives them like the stink eye while she's doing it.
That moment they really wrote it well at the end.
Okay, I have Charlie trying to figure out Claire's deal. Because he's like, oh, was your husband or your boyfriend on the plane? And she's like, oh, I don't have anything. How modern of me.
Yes.
Um,
That backstory is also interesting.
yeah.
She's very she's like the island's Virgin Mary a little bit, minus the virgin part.
Well, I mean, that kind of comes into play later as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Hurley, this is in regards to Kate, not Claire, because I jumped kind of.
Okay.
I put, yeah, Hurley was checking her out. That gun sticking out of Kate's pants was not that obvious. Because she goes to lean and, like, his eyes definitely drift south.
It's true. He's a man.
And she's a very attractive woman.
It's true.
Okay. Who knew the larger history Kate and the Marshal had? I think we're supposed to believe she just doesn't want the secret out that she's the fugitive. Little did we know their long and storied history. I don't know what. I sometimes when I just write notes, I write them so funny because this is at the point where she's kind of leaning over him and everything's in really slow motion, And I put this is exactly what I put. Boy, oh boy, did Johnny Law get his energy back quick. Because he kind of jumps up and starts choking her.
Yeah, I wonder if that was an adrenaline rush or like he comes out of the pain long enough to annihilate. I don't know. But yeah.
Annihilate?
To annihilate. Yeah, it was, I I mean, I always got stuck there too. I see that.
Yeah. I put the music by Giacchino strikes again. It's
Mm.
truly beautiful, even when it's creepy. Because Mike and I briefly talked about the music in the previous episode and how actually in the first episode there's one or two cues which I think are played differently than they should have been. The
Mm.
scene where Locke has the orange and the music is very creepy, and I to this day I still don't understand why they play that scene as creepy. I don't necessarily get it. And the other scene that they play where like things are supposed to be more mysterious than they are is when Jack, Kate, and Charlie are off going to try to find the cockpit, and Vincent the dog is looking at them, and they just play this really creepy music over Vincent the dog as if he's like the evil force on the island. I don't
I
necessarily
think
understand that.
I think Vincent knows something. He knows. But
Well, if
also,
you've watched the mobisodes or the webisodes or whatever that they released, he does know something.
I haven't seen those.
Oh,
I'm a bad Lost fan. But with the orange scene, I could totally see that as creepy, especially with what's going on that they already know about him. Like they don't know much, but he's this dude that says really deep things and plays checkers, Chinese checkers a lot. Is it Chinese checkers?
backgammon.
Backgammon. Jeez, I'm a horrible fan. Um, but he plays backgammon a lot and is just generally like this quiet dude. And maybe it's a foreshadowing.
Maybe. I don't know. Just always seems weird to me.
Yeah.
Okay, next note. She feels so betrayed by Jack's implication that she's a murderer. When he says, she's like, can't you just, not let him suffer? And he's just like, I am not a murderer. Like, definitely implying that she is a murderer. And
She's actually
she feels so
killed him.
betrayed by that.
Yeah.
Okay. I love the line, they listen to Patsy Cline everywhere. Because you can't go wrong with some Patsy Cline.
I can attest. This is true.
Yes. Next line. And Ray betrayed her as well. Because he, turned her into the authorities.
Hmm.
I put, did they flip the camera shots for this? Because the fact that they're driving on the opposite side of the road.
Oh, do they do that there? I know they do in Europe. What
In
side?
Australia, they do, but they filmed it in
Oh,
Hawaii.
oh. Well,
Okay.
I mean, for a lot of productions, they close down roads.
Right. I don't know.
So,
Because I never really looked, so I always kind of wondered. Next
mm.
thing, $23,000. The numbers strike again.
He needed that
Dun
money.
dun. What's that?
He needed that money.
Yeah,
The Australian fellow.
yeah.
Poor guy.
He had one hell of a mortgage.
He did.
Okay. Walt and Locke, and Michael tries to overcompensate his lack of parenting, although he isn't necessarily wrong.
Hmm.
When Walt is like not forthcoming with any information, he's like, "Oh, it's a secret," and he's like, "Why are you hanging around with that old man?" And then I put Walt is too cocky because he is.
Well, yeah, but you got to consider his whole situation too. He's not going to want to hang out with his dad because he doesn't know his dad.
He
I
doesn't
mean,
know Locke either.
yeah, but he knows them about the same. And Locke lets him play games and chill and doesn't try to micromanage him.
Right.
And then, like, Michael is just like, oh, well, we can buy you a new dog.
Well, that's actually
Bad idea.
right. That's actually when he says he's like, "I'm gonna find your dog," and my next note is Michael eats his words quick with that one because he's like, "When it stops raining, I'm gonna go find your dog." Rain
Nope.
stops.
Yeah. I love the island. I mean, the island is a character in itself. The rain is
Absolutely.
the rain.
The island, to me, the island and the music are definitely characters within themselves in the show.
Agree. Yeah. And being in Hawaii for last 2014, I totally see the rain as, oh, okay, this is correct.
Yes.
It was either swelteringly humid to where it felt like you were walking through a wall of water.
Yes.
And we actually, for the lighthouse trail, we didn't pack enough water. So we got to the top and we were like
Oh.
dying. And then it was like 98 degrees, but with that humidity, it was just like, oh. And then it would rain. So it was either one of the two. You were always soaked with either rain or sweat.
Yes. See, there was certain times that it was like a sun shower though. So like I was perfectly okay with that. Like when that happened, but
Yeah.
more often than not it was like a downpour of rain.
But going there made loss so much more real because I was like, wow, I guess it's hot there. But when you experience it, you're like, of course they were always sweating. Of course they had pit stains. This is so
Yes.
real. This is the weather that was there.
Yes. Well, that was the thing was I always tried to make sure that I had water.
Yeah, we
Okay.
were better with water after that.
Yeah. My next note, because Michael is in the jungle at this point looking for Vincent, and he hears some noise. And he asks if it's Vincent, and I put, why do they always think every noise is the dog?
Because they're hoping it's the dog and not something else.
Yeah.
Like a polar bear.
You know what else is in the jungle? My next note. And then he sees Sun. Whoa.
Whoa.
And he doesn't turn around.
No.
He tries to like avoid looking at her, but he did not turn around either.
Yeah. And that opens up so many problems.
Yes. I actually put beginning of the triangle, which seemed to later be abandoned, between Sun and Jin and Michael.
I think some things transpired to eliminate that triangle, but we'll do that later.
Yes.
Yes.
But
oh, that tension. Whew.
Yeah. Charlie tries bonding with Locke when he asks him about the whistle, and he's like, I used some tribal flutes in a recording session once, because Charlie is selfish. Has to make everything about him. Saeed and Jack, both alpha dogs. Because that's when Saeed comes up and asks Jack, oh, people are wondering what's going on in the tent. Because the marshal is just like screaming in pain.
Yeah. That's where you start to see some of the camps splitting.
Yeah. Okay, next line. Is Sawyer flirting with Kate when lighting the fire? Because that's when, he's like, oh, do you need a light? And then they talk about potentially, the fact that the marshal needs to die.
Mm-hmm.
I put, is Sawyer flirting with Kate when he's lighting the fire? Or does he just want to prove Jack wrong about letting the marshal die?
I think he's got several irons in the fire there.
I agree.
There are many motivations for that.
Yes. Kate puts on a shirt over the orange shirt that she was wearing, because she was wearing the orange shirt when they were out, and that's when the gun was sticking out of her pants. Then she puts another shirt on over that, like a button-down shirt, but yet the gun is still sticking out of her jeans, which means she tucked the shirt in to the gun in the back so that the gun would be like noticeable when she's like walking, camera's here and she's walking away from it, the gun is noticeable. Why would she do this?
Maybe it fell down and she had to pull it out and put it back in.
It's possible.
Or it was a cinematic trick to show you she still had the gun.
Yes.
That is the more possible.
You know why? Because it was in the script. Okay, she still tries to save the Australian farmer, but she's still considered the bad guy. In the flashback when she tries to save him from the truck blowing up or whatever, catching fire. Kate isn't the one who tries to kill the marshal, which I thought was a big step for her. But Sawyer doesn't hesitate a moment.
Which is interesting.
True fans know.
They know.
And it didn't even work, foreshadowing Sawyer's hyperopia.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's actually a thing where he asked the writers, why could I have shot the polar bear like the day before from how far away accurately, but I couldn't shoot him like 2 feet from me. I guess the writers said, yeah, we kind of wondered that too, and that's when they came up with the idea of him having hyperopia.
That's smart. Good
Yeah.
save, writers. Good save.
Yes. Why would he aim for the heart and not the head? He already has damage to his head. I don't understand that one.
When you're under that kind of stress, you don't think well.
I guess. And then Jack kills him. The marshal. Still leaves me stunned. Every time I watch that, it still shocks me a little that the doctor would do that.
He saw a case that he couldn't save, so he was ending suffering, maybe?
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a little shocking to me.
It is. It does. I mean,
it's kind of like when you see on any show, when you see a major character die, and then it's like, oh wow, like anything can happen. It just kind of throws you for a loop of like, didn't expect that,
Yeah.
Okay, next note. Dog whistle. Who is this mysterious lock fella?
Who is this man? How does he know?
Jack denies Kate the chance to tell what she did. We'd have to wait for over a year to finally find out in the episode what Kate did. Jack, okay, this is the big one. Okay, it's not the end, but it is the big one of the episode. Jack says the line that sent fan theories and forums crazy, one that persists to this very day. 3 days ago, we all died. No! That line sent people crazy, and to this day, people are still like, oh yeah, well, they were dead the whole time. I'm here to tell you, folks, big spoiler. No, they were not.
They were not. But I think what he meant, in my personal opinion, here it comes again, that they were dead to the rest of the world because of the whole, like, oh, we're off course and can't get contact out. So maybe that was just a uniting phrase.
Oh, I think it was definitely supposed to be, our past doesn't matter. We all hit the reset button today. But fans that say, no, they were dead the whole time. He says it right there. No.
No. This is Paul's moment to inflame the fandom.
I don't care. Stop listening, people. No, don't, because I'm a whore and I need the attention. Hurley listening to the CD player was used a few more times. I liked it, but it was too forced to have that closing music montage moment like other shows have. But there was a moment of hope in the montage for all of our characters. So that was nice. This is the final note, until we get to that camera arc around of Locke. And once again, the music cue and the camera shot were much more misleading than they should have been, in my opinion. Because he's very creepily watching Michael and Walt with that dog. Yeah. And the music was like, I can't do it because I'm not, whatever, but
you're not
very creepy.
Yeah.
No.
That's okay.
That's the end of my notes for the episode.
Awesome.
Okay, so do you have any final thoughts on this particular episode? Or any other stories that you'd like to share about your Charlie hate or Lost 2014 or anything?
I want to remind people that I eventually come to be okay with Charlie and that I don't hate
anybody who cares about that stopped listening long ago.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, going back to Lost 2014, it really, I cannot reiterate enough how good that community was for us. It's a good community. It's good to see it still thriving years later after the show is done.
Okay, so before we wrap anything up, or before we wrap everything up, see, stumbling over my words.
It's all right.
Do you have anything that you would like to promote? Anything you want people to check out? Your website, social media accounts, things like that. Plug away.
I'm going to say if you want to directly address me on my various and sundry hates, you can find me on Facebook. My name is Meghan Arnold. I am a friend of Paul's on there, so you could probably find me on there. Other than that, I have a website called adventuresinverdance.com. It's kind of morphing into a picture blog or a photography blog. So yeah, occasionally I'll post whatever's going through my mind. Who I hate that week, I'll post on there. So
not just Lost, right? It's like regular people,
Oh,
other
just
TV
life
shows,
hate.
things like that.
Life
Okay.
hate. Yes, full spectrum hate. It's all over my website. Not really. In real life, I like to think that I'm a nice person.
No, I always say Meghan is a very good friend of mine. Okay, Adventures in Verdance. You also give us the adventures of your cat on social media, do you not? For people who love cat
Ew.
posts.
Yeah, her Instagram, because it's not my Instagram, it's her Instagram, is the_gypsy_cat_ because the other one was taken. And she's our little black kitty, and she goes on adventures, mostly nap adventures these days because she doesn't like going outside.
A cat after my own heart.
I know. Mine too.
Okay, I think that's everything. Thank you very much, Meghan, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, if you're willing to come
promise.
back, we'll definitely have you again. Obviously,
Yeah, I'll try to make less people angry next time.
there's no such. What do they say? There's no such thing as bad press. So
yeah. No, I want to be like, by the time we're in the 4th season, I want to be that person you go to where everyone's like, oh my God, it's a Meghan episode coming. I gotta get my typing fingers limbered up so I can tell her how wrong she is.
Hit up those comments, people.
Yes.
Meghan will be.
Comment section is
Yeah. If you have any questions about anything, hit us up in the comments. I will answer them. Or if it's Meghan specific, I will wait until the next episode where she's on and, let her answer them herself. So, thank you, Meghan, for joining us here on Lost with Friends. Till the next time with my special guest for the episode Walkabout, I'm Paul.
I'm Meghan.
Hope you enjoyed. Oh, and this is the other thing I forgot with Mike in the first episode. Since it is a Lost podcast, thank you, namaste, and good luck. Like this content? How about you make it official? Click the little thumbs up button there below. Once you're done with that, maybe give us a subscribe and share us with your friends. Thanks.